Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you and happy week too. I just wanted to stop in and say hello. And I'm Deidre Wood, Prof. Wood, and I will be prof for the next 7 weeks. So I hope you enjoy the class. It's one of my favorite ones to teach. I hope you eased into week one and you're feeling comfortable. I loved seeing all of your messages on Goodreads and the books that you're picking and sharing with each other. That's one of my favorite assignments. It always gives me new books to read too that you've found. So that's wonderful. This week is an interesting week. Your assignment is you're going to be observing a technology trailblazer. And you may be a technology trailblazer, but go find somebody else and see what they're doing in their classrooms or their offices or wherever they may be, or on the field. Uh, Remember that when you're looking for a technology trailblazer, it might not necessarily be somebody in a core classroom. It may be somebody in the arts or physical education, home ec. You just don't know. So you have to look. There's a lot of people around that have interesting and wonderful skills that you may not know are available to you as resources. And one of the things that we struggle with technology is it's advancing so quickly these days. And a lot of times people that aren't comfortable with technology will use like a Chromebook, for their students to type an essay in the classroom and be like, that's technology. Well, it is technology, but we want to advance it past that. We want to go, further with this. And so, you want to start thinking about, okay, instead of just doing essays, what about doing digital portfolios? Or websites, private websites with their writing, teaching them how to do graphic design and journalism related to their work. Um, Google Slides, it's just another way of doing PowerPoints, but what if you start to embed sound or embed video or teach them how to manipulate YouTube videos for start and stop times or links to film. There's so many possibilities. And but here's the thing that I want you to remember as you're learning technology. Well, two things really. One, don't be afraid to ask your students for help or to teach you something new. One of the things that's hard in education is that, we're in power positions. And there have been moments for all of us where we don't really like being humbled in that way. And you have to keep open mindset with technology. And you may be teaching the kids something they don't know. I mean, I have students that are really great at Snapchat, IG, texting quickly, making short films, doing all of these wonderful things. But these students that I had did not know how to change a doc to a PDF. They didn't know how to upload a file to a grading program for me to grade. Um, they didn't know a lot of things. They didn't know how to have a discussion board and follow a thread. They weren't good at checking technological communication. So there's all sorts of things. They didn't know how to link accounts. So, find out what your students need or find out what your school needs if you're in an admin position and see. And remember that if you're planning on being a leader in technology, that, you have to keep up to date with the technology as well. And make sure that you're there to help other people. So anyway, so you're going to look at a technology trailblazer, and the directions are very simple. So you're going to fill that out and let me know the interesting things that you found that you liked in their classroom setting. And then also you have several articles that you need to look at this week, very interesting articles, several on 3D printing, which we're moving into. And on the discussion board, you're going to be reflecting on one of those articles that you found interesting and why you found it interesting. And then you'll note that in the looking ahead that I put that I wanted you to start looking at the SketchUp tutorials. Now, for those of you that have done SketchUp before or done work with 3D printing, you may feel very comfortable with it. But for those of you that haven't used SketchUp before or 3D printing, you're going to want to start looking at those tutorials so you don't feel overwhelmed when you start making your piece for me, your 3D printed piece. I know we're all busy. I know we have families and fur babies and school and all sorts of things, but make sure you make some time to look at that if you're not familiar with it so that you just don't get overwhelmed. The first time I ever saw 3D printing was in Grey's Anatomy, and I'm sure some of you are giggling right now. I never watched Grey's Anatomy, but my daughters did, and they loved it. And so when it first came out on Netflix, they're like, "Mom, you have to watch it so we can talk about it." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, okay." And so I did. I watched it, and it was fun. Good guilty pleasure. And but there was an interesting episode where one of the doctors, Christina, makes a 3D organ. And I remember watching that. It was before we were really, before 3D printing was, in the mainstream. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And 3D printing is really interesting. And there's a lot of things that we need to look at. I mean, it can be harnessed for good and it can be harnessed for bad, as you know, and with all technology. And so, 3D printing becomes very interesting to me. And how are we going to use this and how are we going to protect people as we grow through technology? We're seeing this right now with drones, and I'm sure you guys have, heard all of the stories on that. But people can use drones to spy on their neighbors, and you're not supposed to, but they can. So technology is really interesting, and I think you're going to find some neat things in this class. But I also want you to be educators in the fact that you think about it about how's this going to work in my classroom? Is this going to benefit my students? Do I need to have ethical conversations about technology and how technology is being used? And finally, for you, and I may have said this before at the beginning of the video, I'm not sure, but I'm going to say it again. You have to find a way to use technology smarter and not harder. We have things thrown at us all the time through education, and let's try this, and let's do this, and let's do that. And we have to figure out how to make it work for us, for our curriculum, for our students, so that we're not feeling so frenetic in our teaching and fracturing lessons and curriculum to be able to fit this technology in. Find the places in your classroom that technology works and use that to make your job easier as you're teaching. And of course, technology has made our jobs easier in so many ways. Email communication, gradebook programs, those types of things, being able to stream videos or documentaries on LCD projectors. I mean, wow, how fantastic is that? Touch boards, all those types of things. So, you're going to hear that little puppy every now and then. That's Daisy. That is my next door neighbor's 6-month-old Doberman. So whenever she hears my voice, she wants me to play with her. So that is my cue to get off this video feed. So anyways, I want you to have a wonderful day. Contact me if you need me. Email me if you need me. But your week should be very simple and start looking ahead at those 3D SketchUp technologies. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.